Okay, so good morning and welcome back to another session of Business Research Methods and Analytics. So yesterday we discussed longitudinal cross-sectional research. So we are going ahead one step today, and here you can see we have to talk today about fundamental and applied research. So what is this fundamental research? Fundamental research, basically a basic research or academic research or a pure research, is to find out reasons for happenings of a particular event, process or phenomena. Now, so here you want to know that, okay, why, what is the reasons why these things are happening? So that is the fundamental research. Simply, I'm a bit fast today because we have to cover this. It explains the world around us. It is not linked with the solving immediate problem and designing solutions, but to understand some natural phenomena or to generalize the problem and situation. So this we have discussed yesterday, I believe, but let me go review it again. So the basic research helps in designing the basis of applied research. So fundamental research is basically whenever you have something has emerged, something new. So you wish to know that, okay, what is the reason behind that? What is this all about? Whether it's a process, event, or a particular phenomena. So, for example, if you wish to know about COVID, right, that would be a fundamental research that why COVID has occurred. What is the process of COVID? What is this phenomena all about? So now, if you go one step ahead, and that would be applied research. So, as far as fundamental is concerned, it helps in enhancing fundamental knowledge about the social world. It is the main source of scientific ideas and ways to think about social events. The scientific community is its primary audience. So generally scientists, like in social science also, like you and me, if we go to conduct our research, we want to know the basic idea. We want to know the basic fundamental knowledge about the social world. The social world means we are talking about community, we are talking about culture, we are talking about society, we are talking about people, we are talking about individual, and when individuals supposed to work in a group, so how do they react? How do they act? This all will be covered. And how do they behave in a certain situation? This all is basically a social kind of research. So in social world, it's all about people. It's all about human being, their behavior, their understanding, their psychology, anthropology. So it's all about people. It's all about people. So we want to know. It's a basic knowledge. It's a basic knowledge about them. So it's a conceptual generalization, very conceptual knowledge. It's a basic process, basic facts. So you will collect about people, and you want to know why these things are happening. Generally, what happens? People, those who are in social work kind of subject, they wish to understand a particular, event, particular phenomena. For example, you want to understand particular culture in a particular tribal area. So what you will do, you will go there. Conceptually, you wish to know that what they do, how do they behave, how do they interact, what business activities they have, how do they live their life. So this is basically a collection of basic facts. And then you explain that why people in that particular community, they behave in a certain way, they react in a certain way, and what kind of behavior they show when they are in these kind of situation. So this is what explain why events happen. Then comes to applied. Applied research aims to solve a problem and find out solution that helps humanity. So there have been, lot of case studies, lot of research that why in rural area, especially villages, uh, people have less impact of COVID-19, or people in a rural area, they have long life if you compare it with the people in urban area. So it may be because of, now we are finding the solution. So what is the reason that a lot of people, their average age is less in urban area, though we have, medical facilities. So in rural area, when you talk about people, they live stress-free life, not a big stress. For example, if I go from my home to my office, the first stress would be a traffic. It's a big traffic. People don't know how to drive. Civic sense is missing. So that is one that is not there at all because they don't, commute like we commute in metropolitan city. So your traffic is a big, stress for all of us. So there have been different reasons. Okay, and then we offer a solution also that we all should, those who live in urban area, what we should do so that we can live life like people live in a rural area. So research which helps in understanding impact, relation, and association among different variables like social, economic, human behavior, and market research are example of applied research. So the main objective of this research is to test theory. We already have discussed it, that you have a certain phenomena, you understood that phenomena, and you describe that for particular phenomena with a particular logic, particular argument. So that argument, that logic become a theory. So here already fundamentally we have developed a theory, particular logic we have developed. Now we are testing that theory, we are testing that argument, we are testing that the what do you call, argument, theory, or logic, right? Which we know because of basic research. So applied research generally offer a practical result. So business organization, government educational institutions, social services organization, hospital conduct applied research and take decision on basis of findings. For example, I did a research on mudra. So I got a funding from government organization, and I wanted to know the women empowerment, especially our women, those who have been into entrepreneurship activity. So we want to know the socio-economic development among women, especially those who were in entrepreneurial activities. We want to know their socio-economic development because of Mudra loan. So Mudra is a loan provided by Government of India, in which anyone can go and take that loan without any collateral if they want to run their business. So we collected data from 300 women in NCR area, those who have been doing some startup or have been into entrepreneurial activities, and they have taken a loan. So we want to see the impact. We want to see the impact of that loan, that whether that loan helped them to have more production or have this loan, you know, used for the purpose they have taken it for. So this applied research we conducted. So here we have the difference between basic research and applied research. Here you can see it, very simple things, but I'm not going to discuss it today. So now we have a conceptual and empirical research because all this we have discussed yesterday. Now we come to conceptual and empirical research. Now conceptual research, concept is generally term about an object, attributes, process, and occurrence that has given a name. In general, philosophers and thinkers use it for new concept development or for redefining the existing one, concepts held in developing theory. So concept is what? It is basically defining a particular term, particular object, particular attribute, particular process, and particular occurrence. For example, just think of new object, just think of a new process or attributes So we need to generalize it so that everybody can understand that what we have been talking about. For example, techno stress, stress because of technology. So this term coined in year 2010, and that was a term. Now we understand. Now, if you have a stress because of technology, technology may be a laptop, maybe your mobile phone, the other activities, other instruments. So we have a concept called techno stress. So this is what that we, whenever a new terms comes, whenever a new words comes, whenever a new object, attribute or process comes, we try to define, we try to explain that what is that conceptually. So it may be a new concept, or maybe some concept is there we wish to redefine. For example, we wish to understand services. Once upon a time, services as such was not a term, was not a concept, because we used to talk about only goods, products. Product was treated as goods. But just think about 30, 40 years back, people start talking about services. So what is that services? If we want to know services, now we understand conceptually what is services. Services means something which is invisible, which is inseparable, which is heterogeneous. So with these different features of a particular concept, we actually defining the services. Now, a concept of services came. Then people says that services is okay, but what about the quality of services? How to measure that quality of services? So definitely there would have been some process uh, to understand the term called quality of services. So here, who define what, how to define services? Who help us to define all these different process attributes and objects? So we have thinkers, we have philosophers, they come with their idea, and we have a researcher like you and me. We work on this, we try to figure out how to conceptually understand, how to define them. And very important thing, can we measure these terms? Right? We will be able to measure when first we will be able to conceptually define them. In organizational theory, motivation, communication, and leaderships are basic concepts. Let's just think about communication. Suppose communication, it's not only syntax, it's not only your accent, it's not only grammar, it's not vocabulary. So just see, in communication, you have different dimensions, which if you bring together, then you will have a effective, efficient communication. Same thing with the motivation. Motivation is something not like that, that this is called motivation. Motivation means something which maybe in terms of incentives. Incentives may be monetary or non-monetary, right? So motivation is some kind of activity where it would be very difficult to define it, but we can define it in terms of your behavior, in terms of output. So if I say that, are you highly motivated, or you are motivated or less motivated? So if I directly ask you, I wouldn't be able to get right answer. It should reflect through your behavior. It should reflect through your act or reaction. So if you are on time, you always come in class on time, that means you are motivated. So who will give me a response that you are motivated? It's not you. Your colleague, your peer group member will give me information about you if I want to see the concept of motivation among individuals. So it's very, complex kind of concept, because it's not easy to see the motivation. I mean, to figure out whether people are motivated or not. If I say yes, you all say yes. If I say no, you all say no. Does it mean that you understand everything? So here, motivation vary from person to person. Same thing with the communication. Communication is not a one thing that you know good English, you know good vocabulary, but here the context and the concept, these two things also play a very important role when you communicate. Same thing with the leadership, right? So these are all other terms. Conceptually, we need to define them. As I mentioned, um, what you call quality of services, services. So these all terms, we need to define. So we have thinkers, we have philosophers. So a lot of people they work on it and they figure out what is this concept all about. This kind of research include defining a topic without collecting, analyzing, and interpreting new data. It is totally dependent on the existing publication literature. So how do you know what is motivation? So a lot of people have talked about motivation. They define motivation, they define characteristics of a motivation. Then finally, you will define that, okay, it is all on the basis of published literature. So this kind of research propose a new set of proposition. These researchers also propose a new theory and provide a review of literature in a particular period of time on a particular topic. What is review of literature? Review of literature means a lot of material, lot of readings, lot of scripts are there, have been there in different journals, different magazines, different books. So these books, journal, magazines help us to redefine or define a particular concept. So here we have some feature of conceptual research, interpret the existing research, abstract theory, and it's who use it, philosophers, they use and think, because whenever new things comes, we are curious to know what is this all about. So we go and see, okay, we need some people, those who will help us, and we call them philosopher. Philosophy, for example, um, uh, Bentham. Bentham was the philosopher, Socrates. Bentham has given a theory that is utilitarian theory, where he says that if you are going to give, if you are going to do good for large number of people at the cost of few people, that is acceptable. That is acceptable. So that kind of philosophy he has given. I was very curious because I have been teaching philosophy in PhD classes, and I wanted to know all about philosophy. Basic philosophy is not my cup of tea, but I thought I should work on it. I should know about it. And unfortunately, whenever we talk about philosophy, we see people from philosopher from the Western world. And I was very curious to know who is here in India. So I got an idea that Chanakya was the philosopher. And I'm digging more and I'm collecting information about Chanakya, about what he did, what was his philosophy. Because philosophy is something, it's actually your point of view, which should have acceptance in the society towards a particular concept, right? So philosophy is itself a big kind of construct. It's a big kind of thing. For example, now one professor from Harvard, he is also a kind of philosopher, and he has written a book, "What We Can't Buy with Money." So he always talk about money and he has defined a new term, marketing society. So that was something I was curious to know. Marketing society, what is that? So he says that now everything is on sale. Everything, even a relationship, honesty, love, hate, all these personal things you can buy with money. So he had given one example where one Chinese company is giving response on your behalf to someone. You think of someone you wanted to say sorry, right? In your whole life, still you remember a situation where you felt bad, still you feel bad, and still you feel that if you get a chance, you would like to say sorry to him or her, but you don't have courage. So there is an organization in China on behalf of you. That organization will approach that person and will say sorry on your behalf. And for that, they charge some money. So he has given a lot of example, and he came out with a new concept. The concept is marketing society. So it means that in society, our relationship, personal relationship, our emotions, our values, all these things are on sale. Are these things? All these things are on having some price tag. But he says that is it acceptable? So he has developed a logic also, that up to what extent we can do like this. Or for example, just think of um, suppose just think of prison. Someone who comes to jail, who comes to prison for 1 year, and he buy his cell, right? In a prison, he buy his cell, and buy his cell means where he's supposed to stay. He pay for that, and that cell can be upgraded. You will have your television, you will have air condition, you will have good food over there. Will it be acceptable? Will it be acceptable that you buy? I mean, these things are also on having some price tag. So will it be acceptable? So in USA, one jailer, he introduced this concept that suppose you come here in prison, and you want yourself to be upgraded, so you need to pay $100, right? So cost would be $100. So he says that when we talk about marketing society, when we talk about this kind of response, so a lot of people would be motivated to do criminal activity or do wrong activity, because they know if they go to prison, uh, then what would be there? You should have money, and you can buy even facilities, good things in jail also. So this is what we have been talking about: new things, new concept. And we live in a society which is dynamic, which is very dynamic by nature. So we need to define, we need to work on this, and we need to see that up to what extent things are acceptable and up to what extent things are not acceptable. So here conceptually we go and understand this. So we need to develop theory, and it should be based on review of literature, and we study different multiple concepts. For example, another could be, you all aware of customer loyalty, customer satisfaction, customer experience, and on the basis of that, a new term has emerged: customer relationship management. Then came ECRM, E customer relationship management. Now we call it social customer relationship management. So over the period of time, you would have noticed that after some time, we need to improve the existing terms. We need to improve on the existing theory. So here, what we do, we develop logic and complete argument among constructs without empirical testing. So here, on the basis of information, on the basis of script, we develop logic, develop argument among the different constructs are motivation, leadership, as we discuss, communication, which cannot be defined with one dimension. You have different dimension, different variable to define a particular term, right? So here it's not an empirical testing. Now comes to empirical. It includes creating instruments and techniques to observe the aspect of the world like emotions, power, attitude, opinion, and intelligence, which extend the human senses. Now here, uh, data or empirical research can be quantitative. Now we are one step ahead. In last conceptual research, what we did, we talked to people, we read script, and on the basis of that, we describe the argument or logic or a phenomena. But here in empirical, we collect data and then we try to figure out that what people says, what people talk about, how do they see motivation, how do they see services quality, how do they see marketing society. So already logic has been developed, argument has been developed. Now we want to see how that logic, how that argument is relevant in a particular community, in a particular society, in a particular situation. So in that situation, in that community, we will talk to people and we'll collect a data, or it would be a kind of empirical research, and it would be in terms of quantitative research. In this research, observer measure the and manipulate events or objects. Generally, researchers applies different statistical tool to data to empirical test the hypothesis. For example, giving advanced training to the employees will make them more productive. So this is one logic we all believe, right? But truly it happens. So this is very general concept. This is what? This is a concept. Conceptually, we know that if we give a training to the employees, employees would be more productive. But really this happens. So for that, what we need to do, we need to go to each and every employee. If you can't go to each and every employee, what you will do? You will take a sample and then test that empirically. So you will have some hypothesis, and hypothesis will say that there is a relationship between training and performance of the employees. So on the basis of a data, you need to prove it, that whether this particular statement, whether this particular concept is applicable in this organization or not. Maybe there may be instances that even after a training, people are not productive, or maybe less productive even after a training, right? So I hope the concept and empirical is clear to all of you. So basically data are the form of empirical evidences or information collected for the analysis. So main features of empirical research. So based on observation and experiences, database research. So just think of my research. My research is also basically a kind of empirical research. If you guys would be doing some kind of research, yeah, it would be a kind of empirical research, because very few people, they think like a philosopher, they are basically a thinker. So generally people like you and me, we already see what has been approved, what has been disapproved, what kind of concepts are there, and we take them and we apply this argument logic in a particular organization, maybe in our own college. And you want to see that, okay, if you give training to all the teachers in my college, in your college, in our college, then do you think their performance would increase? So general concept is what? Yeah, general concept is that training helps in the productivity of the employees. But here, when we see our organization, do you really feel that it's gonna help to improve the performance of the employee? So for that, we'll collect data. Suppose we have 200 teacher. Maybe you cannot access all them. So what are you gonna do? Instead of talking to all, you say that, okay, let me go for 50%. So you go and talk to 100 people, and 100 people say, yeah, I feel my productivity has gone. So but it's not in yes or no. You should have something which actually measure the productivity or the performance. So here, on the basis of data, whatever data you collect, so how we collect data, that will talk, maybe through questionnaire. We will develop a questionnaire, and that questionnaire should be you will develop or you will use, which already have been used by someone else. So that we'll talk about. And here, what would be an important thing, that generally we can't collect data from each and every one. So we need to go for some sampling. And what would be that sampling? What would be the base? and how many people we gonna interview, how many people we talk to collect our data, that we'll talk in detail, right? So this was basically a very important thing. You must know the basics of research and what types of research we have. So I hope with this is clear to all of us. Now quickly move to, now let me see if you have any question. Yes, anyone, do you have any question or should I move further? Let me see. Where are you? Yeah, any question, anyone? Say no or yes in your chat box. Let me see your reflection, everybody. Write yes or no in your chat box. If no question, fine, write no. Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Shivam. Thank you. What about others? Everybody, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. So let me continue what we have been talking about. So here we have, thank you, everybody. Okay. So let us start from here. Research process. So after understanding different kinds of research, let us go and discuss this. In the field of commerce, management, economics, and social sciences, researchers work on complex and very abstract kind of variables. Um, Generally, we have terms, we have concept. These concepts are not one dimension concept. These all are multi-dimension concept. As I mentioned, communication, leadership, motivation, these all are abstract terms, highly abstract terms. That means you cannot say that this is motivation. You cannot say this is leadership. For example, height. Height remain height, weight remain weight for all. We understand what is height, what is weight. But it's same thing is not applicable to motivation, leadership, happiness, love, hate. These all terms belong to social science, right? So that's why these are highly abstract terms, very complex. So in this kind of research, it is very difficult to control all possible variables which impact on research. So when you give, as I mentioned, training to employees and you want to see the performance, in what sense you want to see the performance? Uh, what is performance? Is it the output you're talking about? Is it more time they are spending on their job? Is it they are happy? So in what sense you want to see the performance? So performance, it's also a very abstract kind of, highly abstract kind of variables. So in this kind of research, it is very difficult to control all possible variables because it may be that it's not because of training, maybe because of something else, your performance has gone up, right? It may be not because of training, but your performance has come down. So you never know what variable will work, what would be that something which gonna affect. So it's very difficult to control all possible variables which impact on research. Conceptualizing them and replicate the study. To overcome from these all issues and challenges in research, there is a need to adopt the scientific way of research process, which can help in minimizing these problems and errors. So now, if this is not a scientific way, then you will have your own research, I will have my own research. We wouldn't be able to share, and people will not appreciate it, and people will not accept it. So we should have a such kind of research in social science like we do in pure science. If you have a formula, if you use chemicals and you give a particular output with the help of chemical, using chemical, everybody will accept on this earth. Similarly, in social science, if you follow standards, if you follow scientific way of conducting research, then the whole world will appreciate you, the whole world will accept your research. So that is the beauty of this process. So here you can see, first, defining research objectives, second, planning a research design, third, planning the sampling, and fourth, collection of data, fifth, data processing and analysis, and sixth, drawing conclusion and preparing a report. Right, everybody? So this remains same if you go for a project work, if you go for any research work in social science, if you are looking for your PhD, your MPhil, your postdoc, or any kind of government project if you're planning, right? Or maybe you guys can think of working on a particular project. Uh, you collect data, use some advanced techniques. We have a software, R programming, SPSS. So these software, when you put a data, it analyze within few seconds and give you the outcome. But you should be smart enough to interpret the data. You should be smart enough to understand conceptually what we have been talking about. So this is what defining research objectives. What is the research objectives you have? So we have different kind of research. For example, you want to explore something, you wish to describe something, or you want to make some kind of experiment or a cause effect relationship. Then planning a research design, that would be about how you will collect data, who would be the response, who would be the respondent, and how we select these respondent, and how many respondent you're going to select. That all will come under. So collection of data may be data from existing reports, or you're going to use questionnaire to collect the primary data. So that all would be. So planning the sampling, will it be random sampling, convenience sampling, that you find anyone and collect data from, I mean, as per your convenience, or you use a proper method. So we have one, what do you call, random.com, one website. It gave you a number. If you see your stats book, there also you have a random table which help us to select uh, the numbers, select a number, random number from a sampling frame. We'll talk about what is the sampling frame. Then collection of data processing and analysis, that as I discussed, that we have a software, whether you want to see association, so we have test, you want to see relationship, we have correlation, regression, you want to see the impact, we have regression where we have dependent variable and independent variable. So this all will give you information, but the problem here would be how you will interpret it. So interpretation is a very important over here. So we have two kind of statistic: descriptive statistics and interpretive statistics. So you describe something like mean, median, mode, but if you want to go further for advanced statistics, that is basically a interpretive statistics. So that we will talk about. So here, the remaining part we will continue tomorrow. Let me stop it here today.